This is a Distillery Channel network production, bringing you the distillerychannel.com. Well, hello, everybody. This is Randy Weckerly on the distillerychannel.com 2017 coming to you high atop the tower here in St. Charles, Illinois, the 49th floor, right above the 48th floor in downtown central St. Charles. You're all welcome to come up to our live shows, which we're doing every afternoon around 4 o'clock. That is, if you can find us. So we are very easily found. It's the highest building in St. Charles, Illinois. Anyway, Randy with the distillerychannel.com, and we are very excited to be back on air. And it's been a while. We took a break over the winter. We reestablished ourselves, and we went out nationally. And things are going to be really, really exciting for us because we're joining a lot of great guilds and association across the country. And we've talked about 500 different distilleries, a lot of great news from this last week. And with me today, I have Rob Ladd, an associate who's been working in the distillery field with us for the past 2-3 years. And hey, Rob, how you doing?
Hey, Randy, I'm doing great. Is it 5 o'clock yet?
It's getting close. It's 5 o'clock in New York. It's coming close. I've got a little brown toddy sitting in front of me. I put a little cream in it, and it's a little muddy. It's called the Muddy Rye. And anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But no, everything's good. We want to talk and hear a lot about what you've been doing for the past couple of years and your insights into the world of distilleries and breweries and wineries of the world, because I know you've talked to quite a few. So this past week we had some connection with the Wisconsin Guild and did a big event that you knew about called Distill America. Tell us how you found out about that and what your thoughts were leading up to it.
Yes, just in communications with craft distilleries around the country. We're just been doing a lot of visiting with them, learning about their industry, learning about what we can do to help them promote and make things better. And there are a number of tasting events around the country, and one of the larger ones was this Distill America event in Madison last weekend. And we decided it would be a good event to attend to kind of further embed ourselves in the industry and get better acquainted on an individual basis. So I think the event was quite successful. I've been doing a lot of follow-ups with distillers around the country that they thought they had a very good turnout and was very successful for them.
Yeah, I know. It's quite a little industry. Over the past few years, it's been increasing in size, and there's a lot of news we're going to be sharing coming out of that particular event. I think I really want to thank you for you making the arrangements to have me go up there and meet the people. It was extremely exciting. A lot of good old friends that we met with. Amy from the Wisconsin Distillers Guild was very, very kind to me. She allowed me to speak in front of the distillers up there. And then we also had a gentleman that was with the Brewers Association, not the Milwaukee Brewers, but people that are involved in breweries nationally. So it was a great time. A lot of millennials, I will say, they had 800 to 1,000 that were waiting at the gates to get in, and they had quite a good time. It was a very unique day, about 70 degrees, watching people ice fish in Madison, Wisconsin, and hundreds of joggers going by in tank tops and shorts, because it was nearly 70 degrees. So it was pretty interesting. When we come back, I do want you to share. We got a couple commercials we're going to have to take care of right now, but when we come back, I want you to share a little bit of your family history. We're going to talk about Templeton Rye. We're going to talk about the Discovery and Distillery Trails. Be right back. This is a Distillery Channel network production, bringing you the distillerychannel.com. Well, we're back with Rob Ladd still on the phone, and this is Randy Weckerly again with distillerychannel.com coming to with our first and inaugural 2017 on-air show. Rob, how you doing?
Great, Randy. It's a beautiful afternoon in Central Illinois.
Now, are you mixing any cocktails yet, or are you just sitting and watching the cattle run by your house? I'm not exactly sure where you're located.
Yes, actually, I did pour a little bit of rum in my Coca-Cola just a minute ago.
Well, the On Wisconsin theme song is playing in the background, Rob. We're going to feature Wisconsin, and to celebrate Wisconsin, you are required to go out and find anywhere in Peoria that they serve cheese curds. That is a staple. Absolutely sensational. Yeah. On Wisconsin.
Yes, there is. We have a local restaurant or two that does serve the cheese curds, and they are outstanding.
What's really funny about that, I know that there was an establishment, individual that I knew up in Wisconsin that decided to not serve deep-fried food. They decided they were going to serve foo-foo food, where people come in and go, fa, 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 fa. Give me a cocktail, and I want to just be very special. Well, not that they don't have that in Wisconsin, but this individual decided no deep fryers. And, on a Friday night in Wisconsin, that is almost a religion that they have to have deep fryers. I heard today they were talking about, actually on another radio station, about have you ever been to a state fair? And,
yes.
You've been to a state fair, right? Okay.
Yes, Wisconsin State Fair, one of the finest in the land.
Have you really?
Yes, it's a nonstop party. They're very good at partying at the Wisconsin State Fair.
That's shocking. I didn't know that. They don't drink when they do that, right? I mean, it's not like...
Oh, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, playing in the background's a little Sinatra music called The Loneliest Night of the Week. You don't go away lonely when you go to a state fair in Wisconsin. I know that. That's a lot of fun. The funniest thing I ever saw, I went to one of the county fairs up there, and I'll get back to the other story in a minute. We got up at 9 o'clock in the morning. We go to this fair, and walking at us is, number of people to make any difference. Let's just put it this way. I don't think they were worried about Weight Watchers. And all of them had like an 18-ounce beer in one hand and about a 5-pound brat in the other. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, did you think if it was just one person? But it's like a flock of them coming at you. It was pretty funny. What's pretty interesting is that today they were talking about on this other radio station. Guy said, "Hey, when you go to a state fair, they always carve something out of butter." And so he said, "Yeah, it's the Florida State Fair. They actually did that, and they did an alligator carved out of butter." And that's cool. And if you go to Illinois, what would they carve out of butter in Illinois?
Well, actually, they do have a large butter dairy cow at Illinois State Fair.
Exactly, and that's awesome. Yes. But in Wisconsin, being the dairy state, they carve out a 50-pound piece of butter made out of butter. So.
I thought maybe they would carve out a butter brat.
No, this just butter carved in butter. So I don't know. I just found that hilarious. So anyway, we're going to be getting back to the trails here for a minute. I want to talk about that just briefly. Then I want to go into your family heritage, and then the show's going to be over, Rob. I mean, it's terrible, but it's not for long. The trails. What are we going to do with the trails with people? And destinations.
Well, we are going to send people to great destinations all around the country. There are so many fabulous stories at these small craft distilleries, great family heritage stories, very interesting, very entertaining, that people just need to know about. Everybody loves a little day trip or weekend trip, And the distilleries are a perfect place. And usually when you go there, you're going to do a little more. There's usually a good restaurant down the road or a great barbecue joint, maybe a little bed and breakfast nearby to spend the night. Just so many great little places around the country to go and see.
Well, we always talk about responsible sipping and drinking, so we always want to make sure that there's a place to stay close by and fun things to do. And it's called the Distillery Channel Trails. Everybody can sign up for them, even people that are just passionate lovers of being on the trails. We're going to have a lot of things, a lot of email, a lot of monthly newsletters, send people discounts for our travels. And then when you get done professionally drinking with your favorite pub, distiller, or winery in Wisconsin, we're going to align and take trips in as groups and go across country and visit. It'd be great from Wisconsin to go out to wine country, have a trip out there. I mean, it could be pretty interesting, and from a different perspective, because wineries are getting into becoming distilleries, and it's a very, very eco-minded, eco-sensitive thing. So it's going to be exciting on the trails, Rob. We're going to have more on that. Trips coming up, destinations that I know you're forming for people up in Wisconsin right now. People can go to the distillerychannel.com to get more information. But the one thing I want to talk about, Rob, here in the last 2-3 minutes, interesting heritage you have, Rob. We did on the Where to Play Golf show, we did a feature on Templeton Rye. Templeton, Iowa. Do you know the history behind Templeton Rye?
Well, I heard a little bit about it. There was a young Italian man back during Prohibition who favored the drink so much that he made his journeys out into Iowa to collect the Templeton Rye.
Yes, and this person that you're talking about, did you know that his 21st birthday was on the day that Prohibition started? Which I thought was hilarious. Yeah, he was very young. We're talking about Al Capone, and the Templeton Rye is that when Al Capone was flourishing, he loved Templeton Rye, and excuse me, and he would drive or venture all the way out to Iowa and actually pay them $70 a gallon for the rye. So I just thought that was funny, as interesting. I guess it's just sort of professional courtesy. Instead of putting a gun to his head and say, here, I'll take some of that. So,
yes, I'm surprised he paid for it.
And back then, $70 was a lot, but he loved it.
Yes.
So they were actually at the Distiller Guild. It was funny. It was great to talk about. But they actually, Rob, would you like to share with us your connection to Al Capone?
Well, I was in doing my research around here, being in Peoria, Illinois, and right on the Illinois River. And Mr. Capone journeyed up and down the Illinois River, bringing his illegal wares, in particular into Peoria, Illinois. And there was a famous strip club down here in Peoria, Illinois, by, given his name. And it was said that there was a tunnel that led from the Illinois River straight up to the basement of this establishment in downtown Peoria, to where they would transport the illegal goods back and forth. So being here in Peoria, one of the local distillers here, J.K. Williams, I was visiting with them, and they were referring a story of their grandfather who is competing against Mr. Capone for the whiskey business in town, and decided that it was a little too hot in town and fled town and went out of business. But he did keep the recipe for his famous blend, and the grandsons here later have started the distillery here. So while I was talking to John, he was telling me this story. I said, well, that's a funny thing. My great-uncle was a physician in Chicago, and it just happened to be that he was Al Capone's personal physician. And he would get late-night phone calls, and the caller on the other end would introduce himself as Mr. Green or Mr. Black or Mr. White. And if the last name was a color, that was the clue that it was one of Capone's men who needed a bullet wound sewed up or needed medical attention of some sort. So I grew up with this bit of legacy, I guess. And when The Godfather movie came out in 1972, I kind of took this all in and remembered the all the Italian gentlemen that had hung around the family and whatnot, and was quite taken back by the Godfather movie.
Rob, you've got everybody's attention now, and I'm sure you walk in the front door that their expectations will be high and their ears will be pert and their hands will be firmly on their billfold. So it's so happy to have you on staff, formerly. So we'll show up in separate cars. Not a problem. But we're going to delve into that a little bit more. There's some more to that. There's got to be more to that because there's got to be favors hanging around. Maybe you're the one that cleaned out the vault. There's just got to be more to that story. Anyway, Rob, it's been great having you on. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the trails. We're going to talk about more distilleries. And I also want to talk about some adventures that you might have had to Alaska. So coming up in our next series with young Rob Ladd, coming from Peoria, Illinois, this is Randy Weckerly for the Distillery Channel.com saying sayonara, tip your hat, get the Al Capone recipe of 3 ounces of Templeton rye, 1.5 ounces of vermouth, 1/2 ounce of Campari, which makes it blood red. Stir with your finger, and if it doesn't fall off, drink heartily. Have a great day, you guys. Talk to you tomorrow.